On June 11th, we got the second narrative comic of this Ionia season. The first one was Pilgrimage, focused on Xinjiao, and now it's time to break down this one. Right at the beginning, we see some kind of scroll with a symbol on it. I tried to figure out if it had any connection to those two other symbols we've seen before. The first one being drawn by LeBlanc at the end of the cinematic Welcome to Nexus. The second one was done by Athican after you finish the mini-game The Demon's Hand, which is when the comic scenes start rolling. Then the comic goes on until we see this appearance of a figure that's viewed as a great benevolent spirit, and it looks like some Ionians are worshipping and idolizing him. Well, it didn't take long for the true nature of that spirit, and others like him, to come to light. They believed they were above the lesser spirits. Some people took advantage of that, pledging loyalty in exchange for rewards, and others just got tricked in the whole mess. This led to civil conflicts where people chasing power strayed from Ionian teachings and paths, even going as far as sacrificing their own souls. Everything was a complete mess until the narrator starts talking about Yunara. We see her heading to her old village temple. There's a structure up some steps, and look at that. It perfectly matches the symbol Athican draws in The Demon's Hand when LeBlanc tells him to reveal the Darkin weapon's location. Then we get this dialogue between Yunara and the great Kanmei spirit from that temple. She's down on her knees, begging the spirit to give her strength and wisdom to restore peace in the First Lands. But the spirit keeps saying no, claiming there are worse things than killing and spreading ruin. But as Yunara goes on explaining how these self-proclaimed Kanmei have been killing even their most humble followers, the great Kanmei spirit starts to get intrigued, like he recognizes something in all of it. He says that's unacceptable and promises to reward Yunara for her devotion. That whole reward for devotion thing feels kinda shady, right? Because we've already seen that going on. With Yunara forming a pact with this great Kanmei spirit, knowing that his enemies are now her enemies too, they head out to fight. The duo starts punishing everyone who profaned the sacred balance of Ionia, and they eventually get to the fake Kanmei. And dude, they look a lot like Darkin. That's Rost and Varys right there on the right side of the screen. They're just rocking an Ionian theme, which actually looks pretty sick. Honestly, Riot should totally drop some skins for them during this Ionia phase. And no, it's not impossible for Darkin to be in Ionia. In total, there are 4 Darkins sealed over there. Varys, who got trapped in the Temple of Pallas inside his bow. Solani, the one with the chained scythes in the Mistfall. She's even mentioned by Master Doran in the story, Poetry with a Blade. Then there's Pra, sealed between the physical and spiritual realms inside a fan. And lastly, this patron spirit of Yunara, the one from that monument, or maybe those orbs Yunara starts using when she seals the pact with him. Just to clarify, I didn't include Rost here because he was found after being unearthed in a coastal Noxian settlement called Vindor, but he might have been defeated and sealed in his scythe back when he was still in Ionia, and later transported there somehow. And honestly, that's not even that far-fetched. By the way, Riot might have tweaked or just confused something in the Darkin lore again, specifically in Varys' story, cause up until now, according to his own bio, near the end of the Darkin War, he was cornered by Vastian hunter beasts and human mages, led by a warrior queen wearing golden armor from Valoran. He was sealed inside his bow, and this queen even wielded it, using his power to take down other Darkin. In her final act of sacrifice, she traps herself in the well, along with Varys. Now this Yunara comic makes it seem like she soloed the Darkin in Ionia and beat them, but was she really the one who sealed them afterward? In my opinion, maybe they're just not showing that other people were also fighting the Darkin in the First Lands, like the group I mentioned earlier. That would still fit in, but since the spotlight's on Yunara, we're only seeing her side of the story. It's like telling the story of World War II and only showing what one country did. Also, the reason other Darkin might have ended up in Ionia is because they could have fled Shurima after the events of the story Twilight of the Gods, where the main Darkin don't even show up to the meeting Tanari organized. That meeting ended up being a huge trap that killed some and weakened others. The story even ends with Misha starting to create the technique that would eventually seal the Darkin. So yeah, word probably got out about what happened there, and the Darkin started scattering around the world trying to dodge that same fate. Kinda like how I try to dodge the fate where you don't hit the like button, don't subscribe to the channel, and don't consider becoming a member to get a bunch of perks, like choosing a video topic and getting early access to the videos. Anyway, back to the story. Yunara and the Great Spirit come out on top, and the fake Kanmei and their followers get wiped out from Ionia so thoroughly, there's not even a trace left and balance is restored to the First Lands. But here comes the plot twist you probably saw coming. That great Kanmei spirit who helped Yunara? Turns out he's just like the fake Kanmei they were fighting together. So he's also a Darkin, and he even shows a more human side, wearing some kind of mask or helmet. Maybe he's not as twisted looking as the other Darkin. He confesses he tricked Yunara, because he was hoping that by the end of everything, he could overcome his true nature. I think he meant the madness and PTSD the Darkin went through, and he says everyone is his enemy, since the world hates the Darkin for what they've done. But he doesn't want everyone to turn against Yunara, so he decides to exile himself willingly into the spirit realm. Yunara, though, refuses to let him go alone and follows him. Then years and years go by, and we can see Yunara in the spirit realm, probably doing the same stuff as always, cause, I mean, what else is there to do in a floating temple in some ethereal space? The story ends with the connection between the realms opening up, allowing passage between them. That's when Yunara and Shin seem to sense each other. This event's gonna continue in a future cinematic, which we already got a sneak peek of in the video A New Battlefield, showing off off the new era map. There's even a description saying, the veil between this world and the spirit realm shatters. A new battle begins as restless spirits threaten the land, and Yunara is returning to Ionia as a determined guardian, bringing with her long-forgotten techniques and ready to fight the spirit threat, though they didn't say what that threat actually is. This also ties into the metagame that two Rioters said is launching later in Act 2 of the Spirit Blossom event. It's going to be a 2.5D beat-em-up featuring Yunara and Xinjiao side by side. That's where we'll find out more about this season's story, and see more about these spiritual flowers blooming all over the place, like we saw at the start of this animation, which, just reminding y'all, still isn't fully released yet. For those who don't know, a beat-em-up is basically that game style where you walk around the stage beating up enemies, and 2.5D or pseudo 3D is just an informal way to describe visuals that look 3D but aren't fully three-dimensional. You can see an example of that kind of game playing in the video right now. So yeah, so far Riot's been doing a good job with Yunara, at least on the lore side. Probably by the end of Act 2 in a few months, we'll get hints about Act 3, which is probably going to focus on Demacia. Riot already said this new series would feature Nexus, Ionia, and Demacia. We've had Nexus and Ionia so far. Plus, there were leaks about a red-haired support champ called the Rose Knight. This info came from the biggest leaker around, Big Bad Bear. And speaking of support, a lot of people started wondering if this Darkin spirit who helped Yunara might be the support champ. Imagine a Darkin that doesn't try to take you over or corrupt you, but actually helps you out. Personally, I don't think that's happening, though it'd be really cool. I think at most we'll see Yunara's patron spirit around her, kinda like Elune is for Aphelios. Now, is LeBlanc behind this whole rupture between the material and spirit realms? Or is it something else and she's just gonna jump in to push one of her perfect plans forward? Some people even think she might be the one who ends up transferring the seal of this Darkin into a glaive. Riot themselves leaked that the next Darkin will be tied to that kind of weapon, and we didn't see anything like that in Yunara's whole comic. So we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.